Hey everybody, today we're talking about the Blue Beetle movie. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I'm Brent, your host, and we are talking about the Blue Beetle movie. I saw it yesterday. This is my review. I loved it. This movie has it all. Heart, emotion, action, humor. Fantastic all across the board. I'm a big Jaime fan, as you probably know if you've been watching my reviews. This is a character I attached to when he came out in 1 Year Later back in 2006 or 7, and I'm so over the moon for this movie. It had everything, and as a Jaime lover, it had a lot of things that I wanted to see. As a comic book movie lover, it had a lot of things that I wanted to see. As a movie fan, it delivered. So it delivered on Jaime and like the lore and the character and just being true to that. It delivered on just being a fun overall comic book movie. It delivered on being a fun movie. So it delivered on all these things. And so for that reason, I'm giving it like 2 thumbs way up. The dog's going nuts over here again, so excuse the noise. But it delivered. Like I laughed, I cried at times, I was holding back tears. The stuff with the dad got me every single time. This movie is so focused on family that it really hits home. Whether you have a family or not, I guarantee you this movie's gonna hit you. Every character's got an arc, maybe except for Mom. Mom kind of doesn't. I don't remember them mentioning that she's a nurse or anything like that. Like, that was my one, come on. They mentioned Dad's auto shop being out of business, but they didn't mention Jaime's mom being a nurse or anything like that. Grandma is a new character. She's not really in the comic books or anything like that, but she was a whole lot of fun. So maybe that's where kind of lose a little bit of Mom in place for all of Grandma's moments, which she had Nana had some great moments, Milagro, aging her up so she's not like a 7-year-old brat when Jaime's a teenager. That makes sense. They're kind of similar in age. Jaime being a college graduate now, and all the commentary about being in debt and all that stuff is very interesting. But I like how they kind of aged them up a little bit and they made them different. Like Jaime's the college graduate. He's like the whiz kid, the golden boy, and Milagro is just kind of like, I'll live at home the rest of my life, or I'm very down about my situation, things like that. So there's a lot of dynamics that this movie covers that I thought were very interesting. The dynamics between the brother and sister, one kid's went to college and graduated, the other kid decided not to. The dynamics of the town, their little community versus the big city, Palmyra City, which I think is kind of a take on Miami. They're talking about living in the Keys, which I live in Florida, and the only Keys that I know are the Florida Keys and all the ones around the coast here. But I guess my only gripe is I missed the El Paso commentary. They live on El Paso Street, so that's like a throwback to the comic. But I missed a little bit of that. But Miami is like a pretty town, so I get in terms of a filmmaking qualities, like, hey, let's turn El Paso into a futuristic city, and it's like no one knows what El Paso looks like, and then go with, let's turn Miami into a futuristic city. Okay, let's do it, and we'll name it Palmyra City. It'll be beautiful. We can take the cast of these beautiful locations and shoot there. I guess let's go for it. The new Blue Beetle comic takes place in Palmyra City anyway, so it's another fictional DC city. So we'll let that pass. Although I did like in the original run, the El Paso stuff was very interesting. But there's commentary there about how the city's taken over and it's just sprawling out with this corporation, and it's taken over these little communities. Their landlord sold to Cord, so they've got they're losing their house, the Reyes family, and they've got a sign in their yard that says new house from Cord coming soon. It's like one of these houses you see on YouTube on these tours, and you're like, man, they're just bulldozing everything eventually to make room for these new houses, and it says a lot about displacing these families and this community and all this stuff. It was really focused on that, and I feel like I took a couple years of Spanish in high school, so I got some of the idioms and things like that, and I recognize that hey, when there's a subtitle on screen, that's not exactly what they said on the movie, so I don't know why they didn't translate it word for word as you would, but I'm just saying, as the white guy here, there's probably a lot more to enjoy in this film if you speak Spanish fluently or you're from the culture anything like that. Like, you're gonna get a lot more out of it, even more than I did, and I'm a huge Jaime Reyes fan. So let me just say that. There's jokes about grandma's telenovelas and things like that that I didn't quite get, but somebody else might if their grandma watches telenovelas, which mine didn't. She watched soap operas, but we mostly focused on Disney movies when we were hanging out over there with her. But anyway, so yeah, this movie has a lot going for it. It's saying a lot. It's very specific. It's very focused. The cast is phenomenal. Zolo is really, really good as Jaime. I love him. First time I've seen him in anything, but I'm not a Cobra Kai watcher, so if you've watched Cobra Kai, he's in that show over there. A lot of unknowns here, like, at least to me. I don't think I recognized one single actor as like, oh, I've seen them from here and seen them from here. Victoria Cord is Brazilian, and that's an interesting thing. And I was kind of wondering if maybe Ted Cord got with Fire from the Bwahaha era, because Fire is Brazilian. That could be an interesting little thing. I'm sure you're going to see that on like comicbook.com or CBR. Be like, who is Victoria Cord's mom? Oh, it must be Fire because she's Brazilian, although it's probably not the case. They just found a nice actress that they wanted to cast, and boom, there. And I think she's probably Brazilian in real life anyway, so there you go. But no, I think the cast was great. Milagro had the same attitude and even more attitude than the character did in the first run of the comic books, as little as she was in that. Dad felt very similar to Jaime's father in the comic books. That rang very true. Just so much here, just lots of love here. And the dedication, like, you can tell this was a film that was made with so much attention to detail, so much love. It comes through the screen. Very, very good. I honestly, I loved every single moment of it. The bad guys. Okay, we've got to talk about Carapax. Carapax is not a Jaime Reyes villain, and it's still doing this trope of like the hero has to fight a villain very similar to them. And Carapax is like a big armor guy, and so is kind of Blue Beetle. And they kind of have similar powers because there's some nanite stuff going on or whatever. So that's kind of a trope, but I did like the way they tied in Carapax to a certain project, founded by Batman with a satellite back in the day when Blue Beetle was coming around. They kind of tie it to that. Don't want to give it away per se, but that was a whole lot of fun. And it made more sense of like, how could that exist with nanites? It's alien technology. Okay, cool. There's some hand-waving stuff where it's like, yeah, the Scarab's sitting on a microchip, and somehow that's sucking the power or nanites out of it. Like, what is it sucking out of it? It's just hand-wavy comic book stuff. Like, it's done, who knows? You're thinking too much about it kind of thing. But there's a whole lot of stuff in here. Susan Sarandon being the villain, is it Victoria? Yeah, she's Victoria Cord. The kid's name is Jenny Cord, sorry. Saying that her brother Ted Cord, surpassed her, and she's like angry about that. And they tie back stuff to Dan Garrett, and the whole history of the Scarab is here. Everything is here, and man, they do a really good job of like tying it up in a nice little bow. It's 2 hours. It's not super long. It's a whole lot of fun. George Lopez is not annoying. He's pretty funny. I enjoyed watching him on screen. His character of Cesar or Rudy. Rudy to his friends, Cesar to his enemies. That was a whole lot of fun. Just, there's so much here that I loved that I can't wait to watch this movie again. So if you guys are interested in a movie that delivers on comic book accuracy, go see Blue Beetle. If you're interested in a movie it's just a fun superhero movie, go see Blue Beetle. If you're interested in an interesting story about a boy and his family, go see Blue Beetle. It's got it all. So 2 thumbs way up from me. That's my review. We'll see you guys in the comments down below, and we'll see you guys next time here on BK's Bullets. We'll see you in the funny pages.